Hello, everyone, and welcome back to On the Curbs IndyCar. I'm your host, Nate Woods, and I'm joined once again with my co-host, Thiemo Albers-Daly. Thiemo, how we doing?
I needed that race, Mr. Woods. I needed that race a lot. That was the tonic to the end of a weekend of frustrating racing action Formula One. I was so glad I had IndyCar to look forward to, and if I'd known it was going to be that good, I'd have been jumping up and down the whole time. It's an excellent way to finish off the season. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, that Nashville Grand Prix, or as they call it, the Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix of Nashville Speedway. That
Get
was
that on the t-shirt.
a great way to finish up a season for sure. Possibly one of the best races we've seen all year.
Yeah, you messaged me during the race saying, or just after going, that was the best race we've had this year. And I was thinking, I don't want to go straight for that because I really enjoyed Milwaukee. I really enjoyed Portland as
Yeah,
two examples. But then I'm like, damn, he might have a point. And I'm like, oh, I was waiting for like the season review and think this is going to be a great debate. And then Nashville comes along and goes, actually, I might just steal this from everything else. And you go, I'm kind of mad, not too mad because what a way to finish.
yeah, it was. I mean, it had everything. I mean, great passing. That Nashville Super Speedway, that is definitely a track where, like Milwaukee, where the high line can really show out.
Make or break you.
And yeah, oh, for sure. We definitely saw a lot of action on track, and let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Unfortunate for last week's winner at Milwaukee, Christian Rasmussen, spinning out in turn two and
It
ended his
seems
day
to be the
super
curse
early.
at the moment. Will Power, great race in Portland, Milwaukee did not go his way, and then Rasmussen wins in Milwaukee, and Nashville does not go his way. So I don't like the odds for Joseph Newgarden in St. Petersburg next
In
season.
St. Pete. Well, maybe they just it'll be a new season. Maybe that all kind of wipes itself
We'll
out
be
a little.
hoping so.
Yeah. But once we got back to green, I tell you what, that battle that we had up front between Pato O'Ward and Alex Palou, that I wish we could have had that all season.
Yeah, this is what I mean when I was talking last week about feeling a little underwhelmed rather by the likes of Pato Awards amongst other drivers because you were saying about, oh, he's come into it in the second half. And I was going, yeah, but a bit too late at that point. You've got to challenge the entire season if you're going to actually make a somewhat successful bid, at least being close to Polo and the championship and take it to the last race and not be wrapping it up two races to spare. And this was the frustrating element. He can do it,
Yeah.
and he can do it so well. I mean, we saw Rasmussen do this brilliantly in Milwaukee, and then it just continued on with the driver that we were hoping that, like you say, this would be with for the entire season. And oh, what a way to kind of clear out the rest of the motorsport from the weekend up to that point by going, this is some pure neck and neck, wheel to wheel racing that the finest of margins, and they did it lap after lap after lap, and you were kind of not wanting it to end, and
Mm.
it neither one of them really did either, and it was just the necessity of something's either gonna happen or um no, something's just going to happen, basically. Actually, I don't think there
Yeah.
was ever another option.
Yeah.
So one of us is just going to have to step back for a second and then go again. But our edge of your seat stuff.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately for uh, Pelot, I think he just ran him too hard. I mean, those guys were side by side for what, 15 laps, it felt
At
like
least,
12,
yeah.
15 laps. And ended up wearing out that right front tire. And, but that was, I mean, that was a great save for him. I mean, that
I
was,
mean, if there was ever proof that he was a Jedi secretly in hiding,
jeez.
that would be it. Because the
Yeah.
foresight he had there, that you looked at all the different angles beforehand before he came in, and there was nothing you could see.
Yeah.
And that is when they say about feel of the car, that is the perfect
That's,
example. That is what we're going to be
that's the
sticking all the
feel.
PowerPoints and the textbooks from now on going,
That's
that's what
right.
we mean.
That's what we want you to do. Yeah, cut down that right front tire coming out of turn two, and he immediately felt it, got onto pit road, and was slow to get on pit road, but obviously he didn't want to tear up his car. Kind of limped it home on the flat tire, and you kind of thought, well, okay, his day's done, but that wasn't necessarily the case at the end. But
his good luck on that front continues. So even when it goes
Yes.
badly for him, it still somehow works out. And the commentators were saying at some point, how the hell is he in first again? How the hell is he in the podium positions? And you go, I don't know. I've been watching this the same as you, and we're all just equally confounded here. And he just simply does Alex Palou things.
Yeah.
It's Max Verstappen-esque in terms of just if it wasn't him, it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah. Second caution of the day came out on lap 83. Um, David Malukas. I mean, again, yet again, uh, has a great car and manages to find the wall. It's kind of a bad situation for him, trying to get around Louis Foster, who was lapped down. And, in IndyCar, they use that blue and yellow, you're getting past flag sparingly. And we get situations like this. So,
Yeah, it was typical of the commentary team to elicit a curse upon a driver through their comments, but we've never seen it quite that quickly, I don't think. That was a new one. We messaged each other pretty much every
yeah,
time we go. They really worked quickly on that one. Um, yeah, I feel like it was a bit of a racing incident, but Foster didn't need to necessarily be as aggressive either. So I'm not surprised that he did get a penalty. Although at the time I was surprised just because I'm so unused to IndyCar giving penalties for things in the first place, and they usually just let the drivers and teams get on with things unless it's something that's incredibly black and white. Um, but I like that, and again, I'm just not used to stewards and people in these positions of power coming up with a decision quickly in the race to impact the race at that moment yet, because I'm still so bamboozled by Formula One constantly with the process of decision making that he was able to be handed a penalty, deal with the penalty, get back into the racing, and still, crucially, then battle on with Robert Schwartzman for the Rookie of the Year title.
yeah,
And while it was a shame, obviously, that it impacted Lucas in such a catastrophic way and he had to be taken to hospital for additional checks to make sure
yeah,
everything was fine, I'm glad that it didn't negatively impact that fight with Schwartzman either. That was just left to the natural way that the race was going to go. We saw it swing then to Schwartzman, but then we saw it swing back to Foster and
to
back
Foster.
again to
Yep.
Schwartzman. And I liked that that didn't interfere because I think other times you'd see something like that in other series and you go, oh, well, that's that fight done then. We're not going to get to, that's going to be another what if. And
Yeah.
well, Malukas probably isn't too fussed about that. I'm glad that we still got what the best of both
Yes.
worlds in a sense there of
Yeah.
you've been penalized, you've been punished, that was your fault, but we can now get back to business.
Yeah. Yeah. They did airlift David Lucas out of the track, take him for further testing at their trauma center there in Nashville. But we did get an update yesterday that he was good. Everything checks out good. I mean, at first it didn't look like it was that bad of a wreck.
Hmm.
It wasn't that hard of a hit. It didn't seem like. But then you saw how gingerly he was getting
Gingerly.
out of the car, and then of course they had to do repairs to the wall where he hit, and so we had an extended caution for that. But
A friend of mine was watching that race also as a tonic to the F1, and he's been on and off IndyCar this year, hasn't watched it as much as he would have liked to, but he's not used to some of the methodologies that IndyCar go to with, say, portions and how they go about track repairs and all this sort of thing. And he was so surprised that the sweepers were out there and the people were out there at the same time that the cars were going around, admittedly at quite a slower speed, obviously, because it's a caution, but just these giant sweepers going along the banking with the Indy cars going past them, and there's the guy with the blowtorch on the wall. And you go,
yep.
what is happening here? And I'm like, don't worry about it. It's fine. This is just normal.
Yeah,
This
that
isn't
is
this
normal.
anything special. This is just normal business being resumed here.
Pit road was busy. This was a caution that came out outside of a pit window, but or in the middle of a pit cycle anyway. And we had a lot of people come down pit road, but it did bite a few drivers, but it also, as far as losing positions on track, but also had a couple penalties handed out. Frucci ended up getting sent to the rear of the field for unsafe release, which seemed to be kind of the tail, that was kind of a common penalty, it felt like. I don't know whether um, uh, that unsafe release, if it was just the last race of the season, the guys are wanting to get out and or what. I don't know, but it seemed like we had an awful lot of unsafe releases in that race.
They ultimately all benefited the racing action, though, as we saw in particular from Ferrucci, because he finally woke up and realised he was good on ovals again. We've been complaining a little bit about his lack of form lately, and we do not have that note for him this weekend because he went for it consistently. And on the restart, he was like 4 laps. I think it took for him to be up about 10 positions,
Yeah.
and he was just doing video game stuff. And it was great to watch when you saw it and you go, "Oh my days, how the heck is he up there already?" And
Yep.
he's like, "Are you sure he actually went back to the rear of the field? You see, that doesn't seem possible."
Yeah, I mean, it was 4 laps. He gained 10 positions, and crazy that he's able to come back from that type of penalty. I mean, it was only the second caution of the race, and that would have dropped him back to what 24th or 25th probably at that point. And
And it does raise the question of, was the penalty harsh enough? Because how much of an impact did it have? But at the same time, I think you could make that argument with Foster, but you make that here as well with Ritchie. I think it also just shows the caliber of the driver that is in there and the driver that we do know is in there a lot of the time that we don't always get to see. And I think the advantage of getting penalised for something is then that you can go out there and have the opportunity to show everyone what you're made of and go, look, I had this impact me, but I'm not going to let it ruin my race and watch me do that. So
yeah,
I think obviously you've got to penalise someone for an unsafe release in pit lane. There's people left, right, and centre there. You can't not have something for that. But I'm glad that it didn't then spoil his race or our viewing of the race.
right.
It walks that fine line, but I think it just about got away with that here across the board this weekend in terms of penalties that were handed out. Maybe you disagree.
Well, yeah, no, I think the penalties were just that we saw. Obviously those penalties are there for a reason to make sure that the drivers remain safe and race in a safe form. So one penalty that we saw a lot this weekend was the penalty for racing near the front. It felt like all of our incidents that we had or most of the incidents we had
That
on
was
track
not mandated by the
yeah,
stewards, it should be pointed out. That was
yes,
just the racing gods at
yeah.
play.
It just the racing gods were penalizing people for running up towards the front. Third caution of the day, Pato Ward uh, has a another right front tire goes down and he crashes into turn two wall from the lead, and which Will Power was in second. He takes over the lead, and during that caution, he ends up having trouble on pit road. And
Yeah, you thought for a moment there that, oh my days, Will Power is going to go out on an absolute high here. He's just taken over. He had an absolute charge up to that point as well. He just couldn't quite get past Pato, and then
yeah,
Pato crashes out, and you go, if you're Will Power, you are loving this right now. And then
yep,
not quite as frustrating as last year, but frustrating in a different way. Nothing to do with the car itself in a lot of ways, nothing to do with the racing. It's just some kind of BS seatbelt pit stop situation. You go, oh my days, what does he got to do in Nashville to get a clean running?
yeah, yeah. And that restart after that caution was nuts. I mean, just cars spread out all over the track. Um, you had Pelot, who was restarting fourth. I mean, what in the matter of what 2 laps, he lost 3 spots.
Yeah,
he
which is
he was
unheard of for
dropping
Polo.
unheard of for Pelot, yeah. And obviously the flat tire that he'd recovered from because he was up back in the front again. But still, I mean, it's just crazy that in just 100 laps he is able to get back up to that position on the track. But yeah, I mean, just that was a fun restart. It was probably my favorite of the day, I would say. Rossi had restarted on the lead, trying something different with his pit strategy. I think he was the only driver that we saw try anything different with pit strategy The cautions just seemed to fall at just the right times throughout the race for everybody to kind of take advantage of it. So, but he came in. Let's see, Ross. What lap was that? He came in lap 158. He
158.
came in,
Yeah.
yeah, and uh, Newgarden took over the lead from there. And at that point, it looked like you had 50 laps left to go, and
I don't
it
want to
looked
say it
like it was
calmed
going
down as such, but
to.
it looked like it was maybe settling a little in terms of it'll
Yes,
still be close, but
yeah,
we're done with the drama now.
yes, yeah. We were hopefully done with the drama,
But
but
we were not.
we were not. No, we did have another round of pit stops, but then um, under green, I think it was our only green cycle we had. Um, Plo ended up coming back out in front, but then you had McLaughlin, Newgarden, Daly, and Rossi all up front behind him, and that made for uh, a good finish or set up for a good finish. We did have one caution that came out late. That was for Scott
It was
McLaughlin.
it was a bit Milwaukee-esque in terms of his 5 seconds of
Yes.
rain to tease things and throw
Yeah.
things up in the air a bit.
Yeah.
And you can understand why the IndyCar personnel threw the caution there because it looked like it was going to be quite squirrely for McLaughlin there. And you're going, oh
Yeah.
no, he's so close to the end and he's now binned it, but somehow got away with just brushing the wall. But then obviously tighten everyone back up again, and it
Yep.
set us up for a hell of a finish. The last 20 laps were just box office, and you couldn't ask for more to end the season with, really, could you?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Pelot made a good jump on that restart. Kiffin Simpson somehow was in the fray and
God
competing for a
mode he
podium.
turned
Yeah.
into there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was a great battle between him and McLaughlin in
I
those
mean,
last
down
20
to the
laps. I
line.
mean, yeah, and it really was. And I think that even shocked the commentators
Yeah,
there at the
well,
end.
again, because it was like Daly and Rossi and Armstrong before. You're going of the drivers to get past below. This none of these drivers are on the list, and then you go, you know who's going to challenge McLaughlin? Really challenge him for third place, Kevin Simpson.
Yeah.
You go, huh? Where the heck was he this whole
Yeah.
time?
So, um, yeah, right there towards the end, Robert Schwartzman got penalized for blocking, which kind of settled the rookie of the year race between him and Foster. I
Yeah,
don't know
after
if,
after all I was saying about the penalties not impacting anything, and then just at the end, Schwartzman has to take it one step further
yeah,
and kind of shoot himself in the foot, and it does kind of summarize his season in a way, PREMA's season in a way, and just go, well, yeah, of course that's going to be how this finishes.
and yeah, so great race. Like I said, I think personally this was probably one of my favorite races of the season. I mean, it just had everything that we were kind of missing in the first, what, 6 or 7 races of the season.
Well, we said a couple of races ago, I feel like that all of the good behavior from the first quarter of the season, first third of the season, has
Yeah.
been good. It has now been let loose, and this is why we were all well behaved so that we could have this. And
Yes.
yeah, if there was anything spare left of the tank, it all came out here pretty much. And I just yeah, I was trying to decide the last 25, flicking between Rasmussen versus Below, Power versus Lundgaard and Below, and then these fights here with McLaughlin and Simpson and Below and O'Warder. The ongoing. I don't know which one of those is the best for me, but I'm loving the fact that we got all of them in the last 3 rounds of the
Yeah.
season, and
Yeah.
such a variety of drivers in there as well. Again, Kevin Simpson just we've seen at points that he's a good driver, and
Mhm.
there is potential in there. It just hasn't
Yeah.
come out anywhere near enough of the time for us to really get behind him. But if and this is the really tricky thing now, we've got 6 months off for the winter break.
Right.
How do you carry that momentum forward to St. Petersburg? That's incredibly difficult to do. But if you can somehow manage it,
Yeah.
I'd love to see that next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of wrap up the season just with some quick notes. We had 16 different podium finishers this season. And, out of a series that only has 27 full-time drivers, I mean, that's pretty amazing. when you think about
Yeah,
it.
and they were saying as well that up to that point, I think there were only six different race winners. It was like the lowest for quite a long time, and then Joseph Newgarden comes along and goes, "Let's try and make it seven." Yeah,
Let's make it
okay,
seven.
we'll
Yeah.
salvage it slightly, so it's not as bad. But I still love that seven, six or seven, either really is a bad result for
Yeah.
IndyCar.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you're thinking about how it looked like we weren't going to get past two at points in the season.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh, we're really on for some 2023 F1 style shenanigans here, and instead we got kind of F1 last year sort of shenanigans, which this was a lot better for me because even though the championship was wrapped up, two races to go, those last three races I think trump a lot of what I saw in F1 last year, as much as it pains me to say. And I just love that we got a new race winner. I think the last three, four, five races we've had different winners as well. So it's really come
Yeah.
on strong in the
Last
last
fours.
third,
Yeah.
but it's
Yep.
it's just gone for it, and I love that. You've got Newgarden keeping his streak alive of a win, at least one win, and he left it
Yep.
a bit too late here, but it just under the wire for like the last 11 seasons or something. You've got a new winner last time in
Mhm.
Rasmussen. You've got Will Power with his brilliant win to kind of make his statement. So it's all good wins. It's not you've locked into it or you've
Right.
benefited from a safety car sort of thing. They've all had to really work for it, these last three in
Yeah.
particular. And those are just the most satisfying ones, I think.
Yeah. But with Pelot being our series champion, he led a total of 700 laps this season.
Is that all?
That's all. 700. Nice round number. So, as we mentioned, Louis Foster takes Rookie of the Year. He ended up, points wise, he was 2 points ahead of Robert Schwartzman. So it was close. Very
Close, but
close.
you'll take it if you're Louis Foster and breathe a sigh of relief there.
Yep. Yeah. And, there's grumblings that Robert Schwartzman might not be back next year. And,
I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah. And, I know I get the sense that he's unhappy being in the series and being in the States and he wants to get back overseas. So it's nice that, our rookie of the year is somebody who might have some longevity in our series. So they're just grabbing it
Yeah,
and
yeah.
leaving.
I'll be very intrigued to see where, if anywhere, Schwartzman ends up. Um, just because through no fault of his own, but his nationality, the nationalities he's got to choose from to race under, aren't doing him a lot of favors internationally
Yeah,
at the moment.
true.
So the
Very true.
opportunities are
Yeah.
probably quite slim on the ground for him.
Yeah.
And you combine that then with how long he was out of single seater racing prior to this season,
Hmm.
because he was just kind of on the sidelines a lot of the time and getting
Right.
the odd race here or there, but not really in single seaters, obviously then impacts. So I wonder maybe should he have done the Dennis Hauger route and instead of being offered a seat at PREMA, gone, put me in Indy next, coach. Let me learn the
Yeah.
tracks. Let me see if I can take on someone like Dennis
Mhm.
Hauger. That would have been a potentially really interesting battle for the season,
Mhm. Yeah.
as another person to throw in there. And potentially this is the perfect answer for the question: why didn't Dennis Hauger take the opportunity to go into IndyCar? Maybe because something like this would have happened, and he's
Sure.
going, I can't afford to have another bad year in motorsport, especially in
Right.
single seater, if I want to continue in that. And one driver is looking great right now, and the other one not so much.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into our team analysis. This, you know, with Team Penske, we don't get to, we haven't got to highlight them a whole lot this season for
Can't
good
imagine why
reasons.
that
But
would be.
yeah, but finally we had Power a few weeks ago, but then this week we have Joseph Newgarden winning after starting in sixth. Scott McLaughlin comes home in third with a podium finish, and unfortunate for Will Power finishing 21st. But yeah, really hope they can carry this momentum into next year because it the the series as a whole, I think, needs it. We got treated in kind of the second, or I'd say the second half, or at least the last third of the season. We got treated with what I think we're used to in IndyCar as far as performance on track and multiple winners, and the way that we kind of, I think, wished the first half of the season would have gone.
Yeah, I was just debating whether or not I wanted Team Penske to continue with this momentum or not next year. But you say because I'm a big Will Power fan, they were listing off some of the stats that he had just before the race started. Jack Harvey, I think, was having a quick word with them on the grid. And I'm a big Scotty Mac fan as well. Newgarden, I think it depends on the day how much I'm a fan of him if I'm going to get biased towards any drivers. He's obviously an excellent racer, but I just prefer the other two. I think if I had to choose, um,
Yeah.
but I think as a team with their reputation and with how the last couple of years have been for them in general, IndyCar does need its pantomime villain, and I think they fill that role quite nicely. And I don't know how well I want to do it. Depends what they do with power. It depends if McLaughlin vanishes off to NASCAR
Yeah.
randomly, and if Newgarden's then the last man standing, and he's leading a team of Lucas, say, and someone else,
Mm.
that could, in my mind, be easily portrayed as here's the supervillain of the season, who came into this year, mind you, going and saying like a lot of big things and kind of chest bumping himself and being really amped up for the season.
Mhm.
And if he can continue on this momentum and he's got a couple of henchmen in the wings
Yeah.
with him, that could be quite fun to watch from a narrative
Yeah.
perspective. Um,
Absolutely.
but I don't. But then on the other side of it, I'm going. I don't know if I want that or not because what if they then win? I want success, but not too much success. Because I still think I'd like someone else to get there.
Uh, Aaron McLaren, um, I think probably had a weekend that they'd like to forget, and certainly not the way they'd want to finish their season.
Yeah, I wrote in the notes kind of a handshake between McLaren and mechanical issues, specifically on August 31st across motorsport.
Yeah.
Was not a good day for that. Lundgaard kind of got lost in all of it as well because Award crashes out dramatically. But I think Lundgaard had just come into the pits either just before or just after. But then with all the various pits making that everyone else was
Yeah.
doing and all the rest of it, I think I messaged you about 20 minutes later once things
Yeah.
got going. Oh yeah, Lundgaard, what happened?
Yeah.
Where's he going? Like, oh, he's just gone. He's out. He's nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, oh, right. So all the hopes are now on Nolan Siegel.
Hmm.
Oh,
Oh
right.
boy. Oh
This is
boy.
going to get
Yeah.
rough, guys.
And it's kind of a rare feat that we get to say that Siegel was the leader of the team for a weekend.
Yeah, and not necessarily the way he would have wanted that to come about
Yeah.
either. It's very much the Payable Chair Long Beach last year situation of how did I get into this position,
Yeah.
guys, why?
Yeah. And it's like, the team qualified incredibly well. I mean, best
Yeah,
qualifying effort by a team this weekend with Siegel starting seventh, Lundgaard starting third, and Award on the pole. So really just a uh, unfortunate series of events for them. Plo or Award had tire issue, and Lundgaard kind of had that mystery mechanical gremlin that they were chasing that we didn't get to hear a whole lot about because the action on track was so hot. So
yeah, yeah. Just bad luck for them again this weekend. And I think the saving grace is the qualifying, isn't it? It shows that they were there, and
yeah.
sometimes it's just racing. It happens. It can either be mechanical like with Lundgaard, or it can just be the tire, which is I'm trying not to say mechanical there 'cause it's making it a different way I want to say, but it's another racing thing. It's just part of
Yeah.
motorsport. It's just
Yeah.
unfortunate that it always seems to happen when Award is that close to finally achieving something he's been chasing for so
Yeah.
long. Yeah,
Yeah.
not today. Not
Yeah.
happening.
No. Um, Andretti Global. Yeah, we finally got to see some of the Kyle Kirkwood that we saw in the first half of the season.
Yeah, that was quite nice. Again, I'd completely forgotten what his livery was, and he'd changed it several times since I'd last probably paid attention to him.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize it was Kirkwood for most of the race that was up
Yeah.
there, unless I was
Yeah.
looking at the timing tower. But a sixth place finish after qualifying in 13th, that's pretty good for
Yeah.
how his last two-thirds of the year have been.
Yeah. Yeah. And he ran towards, in that top five, top six most of the day, I feel like. And so I don't think he had a car that could win, but with as many problems and issues that the guys that were running up at the front were having, hey, just a few more, he could have been up on the podium.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, you've got a fun note here about Ericsson.
Yeah, just because the lapping that was going on with the insane racing at the front of the field, and there was going about how many cars you're going to get between first and second to try and help with the gap and all the rest of it. And you're going, oh, he's not. He's only got one car in front of him for whichever driver it was at that point. They're like, oh no, there's two. Like, oh yeah, that's Marcus Ericsson. Oh well,
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, that won't take them too long to get past him, sort of thing. Like we don't even need to bother considering
Yeah.
him in any of
Yeah.
this, which he started 18th and finished 15th. How is, I mean, we were going to talk a lot in the off season and about reviewing the year and about the situation of the seats for next year. But if he's there next year, that is just insane to me. And I'll
Mhm.
leave it at that for now. But if
Yeah.
that's kind of how you're finishing off a strong, not hang on, no, it wasn't a strong season at all, was it? If that's how you're finishing your season,
Yeah.
my word, man.
Chip Ganassi Racing. Uh, Great weekend, I think, all in all for them. I kind of wanted more from Scott Dixon.
Yeah, he's taken my qualifying criticism to heart. He's fixed that, and now
Yeah.
he's decided to annoy me with his race performance
Yeah.
instead. So he's just straight up trolling me at this point, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
he was running up there for parts of it though, and I think that's why you're quite frustrated with him, Brandon, because he did look like maybe not podium, but top five, but for good portions of it. So for him to somehow then end up in 12th, you're left scratching your head a bit, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. And just um Plo, finished second. He looked like he was going to be the driver to beat, and eventually was, but uh, he just something happened where the mid race he just fell off. Yeah, I'm not sure, if it was a strategy call for them, on that restart where he got passed by, three or four drivers and just kind of fell back in the mid pack of the lead lap cars. Uncharacteristic, but was able to
Cynical part of
just
me wants to say that he did it deliberately just so he could get some more
I
racing in and
and that's kind
challenge
of what I
himself a
thought
bit.
too. Yeah, that kind of was in the back of my mind. I'm like, he's just playing with his food at this point. He's got
I was
the
going to say, I've wrapped
got
up the
the
title. I'm not going to be able to get any more records, so let's just
yeah,
have a bit of fun and go racing.
yeah, yeah. But then Simpson, of course, we talked about him already. Career best day for him, finishing fourth with that amazing battle that came down to the wire between him and McLaughlin. That was a stunning day for him.
Yeah, I mean, it may seem harsh to say this, but I feel like he's been channeling his inner Homer and Bart Simpson for most of the season. And then today, as we've seen once or twice at other points in the season, Lisa Simpson came out to play and he suddenly did a lot better. And oh, just such good racing. It was we expected it from Palou and Award, I think, and you'd expect it from McLaughlin if he was going against either of those two or a few other drivers. But I think it was just the ballsiness from him that we haven't seen at all. I don't think, not that I can recall at least, um, in my entire time watching him in IndyCar. So for him to really take it, and it went like it could not have been closer at the end there, and for him
Yeah,
to just be picked on the line by McLaughlin, who himself was all smiles about it afterwards. And I think he would have been all smiles if he'd lost it as well, to be honest.
yeah.
By going, he drove like a bit of a veteran, and it was really fun and really cool to see that. And I think that's something that I don't see as much in other series is the general respect that everyone has for each other
Mhm.
in terms of
Yeah.
as long because most of the time it does tend to end in some kind of calamity. It's never that close for that long in other series as well. And there's just that nice mutual respect of their good hard racing, and I don't mind if I lose out there. A little bit reminded me of Rosberg and Hamilton in Bahrain in 2014. After the race, they've been dueling for the entire Grand Prix,
Mhm.
and then they kind of like play punching and hugging each
Yeah.
other after, going, "Oh, you little scallywag," sort of
Yeah.
thing. And so I really like that when it happens because they're just
Yeah.
purely in it for the racing aspect of it.
Great day for Simpson. Hopefully he can carry that over into next year and show us a little bit more. I think I don't want to say that we're expecting a lot more, but
We always
But
want to get behind the drivers. That's the thing.
yes,
It's
yeah,
just, especially when it's drivers that we maybe already don't have a too positive opinion about for whatever reason. I have had the biggest bit of humble pie this year with Isaac Hadjar in Formula One, for example. I
yeah,
did not care for him at all in Formula Two so much, and this year he's been able to just completely flip from a heel
yeah,
into a hero, and I love that. And yeah, I want that for Simpson.
yeah. We'll talk about Isaac Hadjar after the podcast. I've got opinions with him, so good opinions. I would say. So, AJ Foyt Racing. You know, Ferrucci looked exciting on track, but this should have been a podium finish day for him. I feel like, yeah, he
You're never
qualified
satisfied,
14th.
are you, with
I'm
Ferrucci?
never satisfied with Ferrucci. I haven't been satisfied with this team in general all year. I mean, if we went back and looked at our notes from the beginning of the pre-rate or preseason show we did, uh, this was probably the team that I had pegged as being like, this is the one, guys, watch out for them. And
Oh, if you're going to the doctor anytime soon for stress, I know the cause.
yeah. But he got that penalty early enough in the race to where he was able to recover and did it very excitingly. Passing 10 cars in 4 laps and just looked like he was going to make his way back to the front and just never could get back up there in that top five again. And then David Malukas. I mean, here's a guy that was basically, he's been in a job interview all year, it feels like, for that Will Power spot at Penske. And this is his last opportunity to say, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to take the seat if it becomes available, and then gets taken out of the
Imagine the
track in
plot
a
twist next year if McLaughlin goes off to NASCAR, but Power stays and it's Power and Malukas at Team Penske. That
yeah.
could be some interesting fireworks there.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely fire. Yeah, that would be a fun one. But yeah, um, I'm gonna say it. I think this is a team that is going to be one to watch next year if it stays the same. And as much as I would love for the team to stay together with these two drivers, I think I'm about 50% sure Malukas is leaving. So
50% nicely on the fence there, mate.
yes, on the fence,
Um,
on the fence.
I don't know if you saw the Indy NXT race or the highlights for it, but Ferrucci was in the commentary box for that race as well. And it's just the one amusing thing that I remembered now as we're talking about the team and him. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Hughes and Collette, possibly, racing very close to each other for durations. And he was absolutely loving how close that they
Mhm.
were and how tightly they were fighting. And he's saying, like, we obviously do this a lot. I love seeing it from the young guns who want to be where we are because it shows that they've got that hunger for it. And Jack Harvey was saying, like, that's high praise from someone who I'd consider to be like one of the hardest races out there,
Yeah.
with the rivalries that you've got, and they've definitely got this kind of comparison to be made to you if they respect each other on track and they have a little bit of animosity towards them. And Frucci just goes, "Oh, you mean like me and Connor?" And he goes, "Oh, no, nowhere near that bad."
Yeah, maybe Ferrucci's got a second career like Jack Harvey.
Maybe I was gonna say maybe there's a commentators IndyCar team to be formed here at this point,
That could
maybe for
be,
the Indy
yeah.
500 or something.
uh, Juncos Hollinger Racing. This was I'd say a pretty good day for this team. Connor
Without
Daly,
Connor Daly, I would not have
yeah,
been as successful in my fancy IndyCar team as I told you before we hit record. He saved my bacon.
yeah, and Connor Daly, horrible qualified 25th,
Mm.
and still managed to bring home a top five, which is um, that on its own is amazing. We knew he was going to do good, and I think after qualifying, I'm like, well, this is a guy that got on the podium last year, and he's qualifying 25th. I mean, uh,
Benefit of that is there's nothing
yeah,
to lose,
that's
and
true. Yeah.
he absolutely went for it. And we were saying last week. Um, about the fact that he posts after almost every race weekend. It feels like that it's just not been our weekend, guys. I think finally it might have been his weekend in a positive sense, and
Yep.
he can be happy with that.
Yeah. And Stingray Rob, finished 16th, although a lap down, but after starting 21st, keeping the car clean, it was a day where there was a lot of action on track, and he would have found himself in some of that action at some point. And
Yeah,
keep the car clean and bring it home in one piece, um, and move up, 5 spots. That's a good showing for him. And I
don't know if it'll be enough for him
believe,
to stay for next season, but um,
yeah, yeah.
if he doesn't come back, it's a respectable enough a way
Mm.
to finish.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors swirling around about this team for next year, whether it's a merger or adding a third car or technical alliances. And just, I would like to see Stingray Rob back. I think he's come a long way. I don't think that he's ever going to blossom into a top performer in a team, but he's certainly not a rolling chicane that we've had in the series in the past. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
we have 27 capable drivers on track, which is key, and it's great to see him improve. We've had him in the series now for several years, and we kind of see little bits of improvement with him, which is neat to watch. But with Meyer Shank Racing, yikes! I mean, Felix Rosenqvist did
Topsy-turvy
have,
day.
yeah, Rosenqvist, he recovered from an early penalty on that first restart. He got shuffled back to the field, and uh, or it was at the beginning of the race, I guess was, and then he got penalized during that caution to move the rear of the field, but still managed to come home in seventh. Kind of taking the page with Ferrucci.
Yeah, and I feel like we saw flashes of him at points on the broadcast, but a largely anonymous race as well, it felt like for the majority of it. So for him to quietly sneak into and
Yeah,
well into the top 10
top
is
10.
quite a nice
Yeah.
achievement. Armstrong is not going to be happy with that. I mean, he was leading, he was in the podium positions, he was in the
Hmm.
top five, and then finishes in 19th. It's just brutal. But
Yeah.
I think that the saving grace for both of them is that we know that they're both capable of a lot more. They've shown a lot more this season. I mean, you look at where they are in the championship,
Mhm.
and they're so far up there. I mean, you've got them in a they're the bread in a Team Penske sandwich.
Right. That's right.
Or
Yep.
sorry, no, even further ahead actually. They're the I mean, unless you including Joe's new gun, in which case it's a big sandwich. But Felix Rosenqvist P6 and
Yeah.
Marcus Armstrong
Eighth.
P8th. There's an
Yeah.
Andretti Global sandwich. I've got Colton Herter in
Yeah.
between them.
Yeah.
Nearly there on the
Yeah.
on that. Just got the wrong team. But that's pretty good for a team
Yeah.
that is this low
And
down on our list that we talk
yeah,
about.
they've kind of been the sneaky team this year for sure. And
That
it definitely,
they've been the team to watch, my friend. It's not been
yeah,
AJ Foyt, I'm afraid.
yeah,
It's been Meyer Shank.
yeah. Because I think, when you look at the driver lineups for each team and what the silly season ahead of us holds, I think that this is the one team where I think these are the drivers for next year. They're,
It makes so much sense to just keep it as
yeah,
it is.
yeah. And, these are
Possibly
the
the
two
only
drive.
team.
Yeah. I think this is probably the only team that isn't going to have their name come up in the silly season at all.
Fingers
So,
crossed. Don't I hope you've not cursed it now.
now they got a clean house now. Okay. Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. This is
There's
the
not too much to
weekend.
say here.
This is
There's a
the
reason I
weekend that
just wrote
we've.
Louis Foster as the rookie of the year and nothing else.
This is the kind of weekend we've come to expect from this team. I feel like so.
Yeah, yeah.
Foster
You've
finishing
got an interesting
20th.
point on Grosjean, but I'm not sure if I don't know if I don't think I want Grosjean back in IndyCar.
No.
No, I'm done with him. I think.
Yeah.
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 I think if he was going to do something, he would have done it already. But he seemed to hop too much from team to
Yeah,
team,
yeah,
and I feel like that wasn't. If you feel like that might have been a personality clash more than anything, and
yeah. Could been.
and if you'd been knocking it out the park results wise, then that'd be one thing. But he never did. So yeah, no, there's probably changes afoot here, but I don't know if I want that to be one of them.
Yeah, DeFrancesco, he finished 18th, a lap down, and I think unfortunately he's definitely on the chopping block for this team.
I'd
And
keep him ahead of Grosjean just so that we can continue having banter with Scotty Mac.
and then Foster, you know, hasn't had the greatest season, but Rookie of the Year looks pretty flashy on a resume. Definitely
Yeah,
worth other teams to look at. And you wonder, we know that that program, their equipment has been lacking for several seasons, and you wonder, okay, Foster, what could he do in somebody else's equipment? And I
I think
think a lot of
that's the thing, right?
I
We
think a
just
lot of
don't
teams
know.
are yeah, I think a lot of teams are probably taking a look at that. So
It'd be an intriguing question, but I just don't know what the answer would be to that one. It's not as obvious as it would be for other drivers.
uh Ed Carpenter Racing, Alexander Rossi, top 10 finish for the day. Had uh had him up front or up near the front for portions of the race. So great day for him. I think uh but I think he's probably the safe driver out of the two drivers,
I was
even
gonna ask about your comments in the notes, calling him a has-been. Is that a compliment for you? That
uh,
generally isn't a compliment. I was going, that's a bit
no,
harsh.
I
He's been
really
doing all right
think
this year.
yeah, he's done all right, but I just feel like this is his home until he's ready to retire at this point. I think this
Okay,
team's a
has been
good
in that
fit.
sense.
Yeah, I think this team is a great fit for him, and I don't think that he's shown the talent consistently to make him an option for a bigger team.
Just say he's a bit of a lesser Nico Hulkenberg in terms of I can't see him going anywhere else now that he's where he is.
Right.
He can help build that team up. He'll get some great results, but he's not. He's in his retirement home.
Yeah. And uh but even with the last place finish for Christian Rasmussen, you have to think that his phone is ringing for next season.
I was toying with putting his name if we do an episode of what would we do with the grid next year if we had a carte blanche. Penske or Andretti would be interesting to see what Rasmussen could do with one of their team
Hmm.
with one of their cars, or maybe even if you replaced Siegel with McLaren, I
Yeah.
I could see him doing good things there. You've got an incredibly aggressive driver that'd be a lot of fun in a top team to watch, and if he's already in this kind of no fudge giving situation in this team, what's
Yeah.
he going to do when he's got all of these other resources available to him?
Right. Yeah. Dayle Coyne Racing, Reeves VK, not so great of qualifying effort, but does bring it home 13th. Is their last car on the lead lap. And Jacob Abel, unfortunate day for him, started last and finished 23rd with a DNF.
Kind of just quietly shuffled off. I didn't notice he'd not been around
Right.
for quite a while,
Yeah.
unfortunately for him. Um, yeah, that's another interesting conversation for another day, I think. But we're not too surprised at his performance, I think, unfortunately, after
Yeah.
the season he's had.
Yeah. I think, Renus VK, earlier in the season, I think made a strong argument for himself to possibly move to another team. We've talked about him periodically throughout the season of him being the very last driver announced
Hmm.
for this season. What, 2 weeks before the season started, 3 weeks before the season
Less
started,
than.
less than that, and kind of took us all by surprise. And the first half of the season, I think he showed. Um, he definitely was punching above his weight, but second half of the season hasn't really felt that way.
No, but I think. a little bit like Kirkwood, he has earned a bit of leeway with that in
Mhm.
terms of there's so many drivers up and down the grid that are on the chopping block for various different reasons that you need as much capital as you can get. And I think when you take the whole year into consideration, VK's just about earned himself enough race to at least stay with Dale Coyne if he wants, if he's not going to
Mhm.
go somewhere else, I think. So
Yeah,
I'd like him to stay in IndyCar.
me too.
Don't mind
Yeah.
where, just as long as he stays, because I
He's,
think
he's,
there
yeah.
is more to come from him. And he had a little interview with Will Buxton a couple of rounds ago, and you could tell there as well that he's hungry for it. Will is a big fan of him and sees that potential as well. And it would be nice to see that come out.
Mhm. And PREMA Racing, Callum Ilott qualified ninth, finished ninth. Great day for him. And then Robert Schwartzman qualified 19th, finished 14th. Our first,
Less of a good day for
uh,
him.
less than a good day for him, but missing out on the Rookie of the Year with a late penalty for blocking, and definitely not the way you want to go out of a season. But I think this race for Prema was probably in the top three best races they've had this season.
Oh, easily. And I think Callum Ilott is. We were debating which of these drivers would stay next year if they kept the lineup, if they wanted to keep the lineup as it was, or if they wanted to be a consistency with just the one driver. And we were both going back and forth on which driver we were backing there. But I think Idot has now. I mean, I don't think now he's just done it, but I think he's been eking it out over Schwartzman the entire year. And I'm hoping I was saying that earlier, and I'm not switched completely over from Schwartzman. But yeah, he's again, it's at least a second or third race inside the top 10, which, considering the shambles of a season that team has had,
Yeah.
is pretty damn good. And
Yep.
if PREMA aren't around next year for whatever reason, I think Callum, a little bit like VK, has done enough to show other teams that
Mhm.
he is a viable option and that he wouldn't be a risk to take.
Yeah. Yeah. All in all, I think I with the resources that Prema have available with their global racing team, I expected more from this team this
So did I.
year. I think they did as well. They made a pretty big splash coming into the series, and within racing circles, the Prema name's definitely one that um, raised a lot of eyebrows when they said, "Oh, we're going to go IndyCar racing." And unfortunately, I think this year has been taxing for them, and resources are definitely running thin there. A lot of rumors about how much money's left in the checking account over there.
Yeah, I'd love them to stay next year just because I want to see that story bounce back
Mhm.
in a positive way. Whether they do it by themselves, whether or not they try and entice another F2 team to come in with them, or they
Yeah.
find some other backing from elsewhere to join them, I don't know. But it it would be a shame because obviously then you get two less drivers on the grid, and while we've not seen too much of them, it would have ultimately um, made this year's Indy 500 less of a spectacle. So it would have still been great, but you wouldn't have had one of the best stories of the year,
Yeah.
thanks to them being there. And that's why we love motorsport. So it
That's
was
right.
nice of them to give us that, and it'd be a shame if that then stopped.
Yeah. Well, who's your hot driver of the weekend?
Not just for my fantasy points, but principally for my fantasy points, it's Connor Daly.
Yeah, and he had a great day, finishing top five, and it sounded like he made up a good chunk of your points total this weekend in your fantasy league.
Yeah, he definitely helped me even out the fact that I had Power O'Ward and Malukas in the team. So thank God for him for that one. How
Yeah,
about yourself?
I'm going with Scott McLaughlin. I mean, it seemed like even with being 10th in the points, it just felt like we just such a hard season for him, and to see him get a top three, be on the podium, be racing up at the front for the majority of the day, uh, just felt like what we hoped this team would have done all season. And you think back, recapping the season, it's like how different would this year have been if Penske didn't have all the issues that they'd had? And
Yeah, yeah.
so,
So
But not hot driver for me is Will Power. You know, it's we talked about Dave Malukas interviewing for for next year. Will Power also interviewing for next year, and just unfortunate for him that didn't go his way.
I can agree with you there for this race in particular, but I think in terms of an interview for next season, the idea that someone with the amount of success that he has had, and up until this weekend was the only driver in that team to have won a race
Mhm.
and finished still ahead of the other two overall in
Right.
points,
Yep.
it should be enough of a statement. It seems mad that we're even having to talk about the fact that it's bad enough that Penske would think about getting rid of him, but the fact that he just might not be around at all next year is diabolical. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think of an equivalent, but I don't have one because it's just such a ridiculous kind of statement to come up with. It's mad, but yeah, not the weekend he would have wanted there. But again, Nashville just doesn't seem to agree with him as of late.
Yeah.
So um, his highlight for the last 2 years in Nashville seems to be the after party race to stare off into space and play the drums.
Yeah. Yes. Who's your not hot for the weekend?
Struggled a bit with this, but then I thought I'll go for a team as a whole, so I went for Rahal, and yeah, we kind of expected it from them. But at the same time, I don't like that we expect it from them. I want more, so I'm sticking them in the bin for this weekend and going do better next year.
Yeah. Yeah. For hard luck, the hard luck award, I put down Robert Schwartzman, but the more I've thought about it, I don't know if I would necessarily pick him.
He
Um,
did it to himself.
yeah, it's true. He did do it to himself. Um, I think for giggles, I would probably go with Malukas. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
just
And
another guy
very
that's
hard
there
luck in the
interviewing.
literal
Yeah.
sense. So
Yes. Yeah. But luckily he is okay. You know, he did tweet out yesterday that everything was all right, and um, so. But yeah, who's your hard luck award going to?
I went for Aaron McLaren just because you have one of the best qualifying
Yeah.
sessions of your year, and then that happens to you in the last race of the season. And again, Pato needs to stop saying positive things before a race because it's clearly not manifesting for him. It does the complete
Yeah.
opposite of it. So he needs to knock that on the head for next year. And just focus on the let's just see what happens, and we'll see what we can do, and stop
Yeah.
saying good things are going to happen because they do not. Then to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So in news, IndyCar news, Indy Next news, I should say, Miles Rowe ended up winning this weekend's season finale race in Nashville. So congrats to him.
Came
New
through from
wraps.
ninth as well on the grid. Really nice
Yeah,
job to
yeah,
get
very good
through all
job.
of that.
Yeah, yeah, obviously very exciting race over there as well. It's going to be exciting to see where some of these names at the top of the standings and Indy Next might end up next year. You know, Dennis Hauger obviously is a name that a lot of people are throwing around. Um,
I think
but
the
you know,
trouble with this is for next year, if for anyone else on the list, I mean, obviously people are looking at Lockie Hughes, maybe a little bit Miles Rowe as well, looking at Calculate. The element that I think is going to make everyone second guess is Jacob Abel. He was second last year, comfortably in second,
mhm,
massive gulp to P3, but then also this massive gulp up to Foster in first.
mhm,
And you look at the season he's had this year, and okay, you can make arguments left, right, and centre as to why that is, but you still know there are drivers that can do more with lesser machinery.
yeah,
But is that a driver like Carpenter? Is that Lockie Hughes? Or would you want to say, we'll give you a seat in 27, but
yeah,
we're going to back you in 26 and maybe we'll let you have an Indy 500 run. We'll give you some private testing. If there's an exhibition race next year, you're in it. But
yeah.
you're not coming up full time just yet. So that for me is where the interesting conversation lies for any other people making it up because I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, Lockie Hughes, I think would be a fun one to see move up as well. Cal Collette, you know, had a great season. I don't know if he's necessarily ready or not.
Yeah.
I think one more year in Indy next would really do him a world of good. Miles Rowe, I think I
I think
wouldn't.
he could do with another season. I don't want to
He can
rush him.
definitely do another season, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see him get a seat for the 500.
Yeah, yeah, I could
I
see that
think,
as well.
yeah, I think that would be. I think he'd be an interesting one to see land a seat somewhere um, for the 500 in the month of May. And yeah, congrats to him again. So be interesting to see how that series shakes up as well in the silly season. Because there's
We've got so much
definitely a
to talk about in
couple.
the off season. We're going to need the 6 months, aren't we?
Yeah, that's going to be. There's at least a couple names there that are I think front runners for moving up. So, but yeah, we've got plenty of time for off season. Now, it's unfortunate that our season isn't longer. It feels long, but only because we cram so much into a kind of
Well,
truncated time.
it's a 6 month season, and yet really it's about 2 months. It
Yeah,
feels like because we have
yeah,
these massive gaps to begin with, and then
yeah.
by the time it gets going, it's July, and then you're like, oh, and now we're done. We go,
Mhm.
what happened? Where are we
Yep.
going?
Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll have we'll keep coming out with episodes. Of course, we'll have a wrap up for this season for IndyCar, but then obviously Indy Next, I think deserves its own episode to cover. But then I'm sure we're going to have all sorts of silly season news to cover as well. So um,
Definitely.
it's been a fun season, and definitely looking forward to next season. But we will be back in St. Pete in what, 6 months? A
March
little less,
2nd, something around
yeah,
there, I
March
think
2nd,
it
yeah,
was what
something
it
like
was what
that.
they were saying. That's the only bit of the calendar we know at the moment as well. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
come back and talk
yep,
about a calendar at some point if
that's
we're
true.
lucky.
Yeah, yeah, because they got to still finalize the schedule for next year, so we'll have to figure that out at some point to be able to sell
We'll, we'll,
tickets.
we'll do it for them. We'll get some
Yeah,
international rounds in as well while we're at it.
that's right. That's right. So, well, we'll see everybody in the next episode. Thanks, everyone.